Hi everyone, Anthony Morganti here. In today's video, I want to talk about a new feature that was added to Lightroom Classic a couple updates ago, but I've neglected to cover. This new feature is particularly useful for anyone that often edits images in Lightroom, but often will bring those images into Photoshop to do things there, then come back into Lightroom. For this example, I have two images. I have the stock photo of this young lady, and next to that, I have an old image I took of this colorful garage. And what I want to do is I want to go into Photoshop and clip her out of this scene and put her into this scene. Now, as far as this scene is concerned, you could see that I did some processing to it. It is an unedited it was an unedited Fujifilm RAW file, but I've done some editing to it. Now, this new feature has to do with smart objects and how you could send things into Photoshop and re-edit them in Photoshop. For example, I have the model selected in the film strip. I'm going to hold the Command key on my Mac, Control key on a PC to select the garage as well. Then I'm going to right-click on either of these, in this case the garage, and I'm going to go up to Edit In. And in the past, you had the option Open as Smart Object in Photoshop. You also had Open as Layers in Photoshop. This new feature that I mentioned has been added is now Open as Smart Object Layers in Photoshop. This allows you to open images up as layers in Photoshop, but they're smart objects, so you could re-edit any edits you did in Lightroom from within Photoshop. Let me show you. I'll just do that. I'll click there, and it will automatically take both of these images. Now, one was a stock file, a stock JPEG file. The other one is a RAW file that I've done edits to. Now, you just have to wait for a second for it to actually open Photoshop and then load the images into Photoshop. Now, you can see they're here. Now, you can tell they're smart objects because it has a little icon in the lower right-hand corner. Now, here is the photo below. So on top, the top layer is the model. The layer below is the garage. I'm going to turn off the layer with the model in it, and you can see that our garage image is too small. So I need to resize this. So to do that in Photoshop, hit Command or Control T to get the free transform tool open, and you see you have these handles. And I'll just grab this lower right handle and just drag it out so that it covers the entire canvas like that. And then we'll click the check mark at the top to commit to that resizing. Now, turn the model back on. Now, I did some edits to this bottom layer. This is the layer of the garage. If I want to re-edit those edits, all I need to do is double click on that little smart object thumbnail, and it will open up into Adobe Camera Raw. Adobe Camera Raw uses the same processing engines that Lightroom does. So you can see all my edits are here. So I could come in and re-edit stuff. So if I want to add more vibrance or something like that, I could do it. And when I bring this image back into Lightroom, those edits I do in Camera Raw will be carried over into Lightroom as well. So we'll click OK. Now, why did I bring these two images over here? Well, I mentioned I want to clip her out and put her in the other scene. So let's do that very quickly. I have a selection tool open. You could hit the W key on your keyboard. You'll get any of these three selection tools. It doesn't matter which one is open, because when you have those tools selected, at the top you'll have Select Subject. And you go to this drop down, and I'm going to use the cloud to get detailed results because that works a little better than having it do this selection on my computer. So we'll click Select Subject. Of course, to use the cloud, you have to have an active working internet connection, and it takes a bit longer to do. Now you can see we have the selection of the model. Now I need to refine it, so I'm going to click on Select and Mask. And for the view, I want to use on black, like that. And we'll have the opacity at 100. You can see her hair isn't well done, but everything else isn't too bad. We'll click on Refine here, right here. Then one trick I found to make the hair look better is you go down to Decontaminate Colors and you click right there as well. And you can see that improved that dramatically. Then what I want to do is I want to get the second tool from the top. This is the Refine Edge brush. And then I'm just going to come in and use that brush to paint on these areas on her hair that aren't selected as well. Maybe around her ear a little bit, down here, and that looks pretty good. Maybe just right there a little more. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now, we have this drop-down output too. I want to use this output as a new layer with a layer mask, and we'll click OK. And you'll see there she's clipped out and she's standing in front of the garage. Now, if I want to resize this part or this model here, because it's a little large, maybe I hit Command or Control T again. We'll get these same handles, but this time these handles are for the model. So we could resize the model and make her fit into that scene a little better. Now, as I look at it, well, maybe the garage is a little dark. I want to re-edit that. So what I could do is just, again, double click on this little icon in the lower right-hand corner of the thumbnail, and it will open up that layer into Adobe Camera Raw. And then here I could come in and push exposure up a little bit and then click OK. And you can see now we have the brighter background behind the model, and I'm done. So I'll save this, but the way I do it is I just go to Photoshop, quit Photoshop, and then I make sure that I click the Save button. Don't click any of the others. And then it will save this image, and now we'll have a third image in Lightroom. And this will be an image that will have all the settings reset, so I could edit this in Lightroom. So that's a feature that kind of flew under the radar. I know not everyone is going to take advantage of it, but I thought I'd do a video on it because I know, or at least some of you, do some types of editing in both Lightroom and Photoshop. And this new feature, I think, will come in very handy for you. Thank you, everyone who watches my videos. I really do appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon.